All right, we're doing a pod with Cody McCarthy.
What's up, guys?
He's with Slayer, but realistically, I've known him since he was 12. How old are you?
I'm 31 now.
God, I'm old. Yeah, no, it was weird. I met his folks back in Boise. I used to live there and work at a gym called Gold's Gym, and it had a speed school.
Parisi Speed School.
Yeah, and he was one of the first athletes to come through, and I just remember meeting his folks. Shout out to Joe McCarthy and Shelly McCarthy, and they brought him in and we were training him, and I remember I was into hunting pretty big time, obviously, and you'd shot a bull at age 12 with a bow, and I thought that was so cool.
It was really cool, and the training stuff, that was something that I was into, playing football and elk hunting, and just to have a trainer like you to make an impact on my life, it was cool, because now what I do for work, right, a lot of it's modeled after you, because you were like my first role model that was like, hey, you can do this, you can have energy, you can preach the right thing, you can elk hunt, kick ass, do the thing. And I mean, now here we are, man.
That's cool. And here we are at my house. So we had Cody fly himself up. Slayer flew him up today, and he brought literally on his carry-on his custom calls his custom call making manufacturing plant. Here you go. So this is a call press?
Yep. So this is the press. So this is where we put the frame, stretch it, punch it, and then here is our tape cutter. So this is how you get the perfect ridges around the diaphragm. So that just punches it out, cuts the excess tape off. So yeah, it was pretty cool, because TSA, shout out TSA in Boise for messing up my sight tape and my sight, but whatever.
Because we just shot bows, and he gets his bow out of the case, and his whole thing is loose. Yeah. It's like, did you want to have your whole sight loose?
But
we got
I have this on my carry-on, and they go through and it gets checked, and they're like, what is that? Is it a drill press? I'm like, no, it makes elk calls. And then the supervisor comes over and is like, oh, you make elk calls? And I blew the call for him a little bit, and he was like, you're good to go. So shout out TSA.
That is awesome. Now, I had a TSA experience that I brought a tub of Hydrate Recover.
Yeah.
And I know, they freak out when they see powders, so I took it out of my pack and put it in its own little, tray, and put it through security. And my kids and family are with me, and we're going to Arizona to see the Grand Canyon. This was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we made it through security, and all my stuff, I got my shoes on, and I'm like, oh yeah, what about that? Supplements. They got it out, and they're doing lab tests.
Good Lord.
And they're like, who says this? And I was like, oh, that's mine. They're like, come here. And I was like, oh, shoot. And they're like, what bag was this in? And I'm like, no bags. I just literally put it out by itself. And they were like, we need everything you brought with you. And I was like, oh God.
Lord.
And then her supervisor came out. They this is testing positive for something. I'm like, testing positive for awesome.
Yeah.
It's Hydrate Recover. And then then her supervisor came out. So I had everybody there, and I got the full pat down.
Nice.
And I'm not taking supplements with me anymore when I travel. It's not freaking worth it. But look at all these calls we brought here. So the goal today is to shoot bows. We've already done that.
Yep.
Learn how you make your calls. Have you teach Jeff and I some cool techniques to be better at calling.
Absolutely.
Get a workout in and catch your airplane tonight on the way home. So it's a wham bam day. We've already done some of the things. Let's go into your history a little bit, man. So you killed your first bull with a bow when you're 12. You didn't do that by yourself.
No,
you were born and
not.
Raised into a elk hunting family.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
My family, between my wife, my kids, my parents, my uncle, my grandparents. I mean, my grandfather was a salmon steelhead waterfowl guide in Oregon and Idaho. Grew up deckhanding and salmon steelhead trips. Was very blessed to grow up in northern Idaho. That's, I have the opportunity to shoot turkey. Shot my first turkey when I was super young. Be able to go out elk hunting. And I remember my dad, I always had an ear for hearing things and replicating things. And my dad and my uncle and my mom are so awesome because they supported me all the way through, and really the true foundation of how I want to bring my kids up and how he wants to bring his kids up. And so they got me an elk call, and I remember watching a VHS of Elk Talk. and it was just elk bugling. And I did it, and my dad's like, man, you're good. And so we went hunting. He told me to lay down next to a deadfall. We heard an elk bugle, and I mean, I grew up hearing elk bugle, picking huckleberries, playing in the dirt when my dad's out chasing elk. You know, he'd just set me there in a huckleberry patch, and I'd come back, and then my face would be purple, and he'd like shot an elk and walk up to it and be like, cool, you know, like I was a super, you know, 4 or 5 years old. But the first time I went hunting, heard the elk bugle, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Walk out there, it's getting closer, and my heart starts beating. And then my dad's like, bugle, and I bugle, and boom, bugles right back. And I'm like, you know, I got the shakes. I'm super stoked. I don't know what. My dad is like, lay down over there by that deadfall. So I lay down there, and my dad's giving me this signal.
Run the play.
I'd bugle, boom. Pretty soon, I hear the aluminum, because, you know, PSE, Baby G, 90 pounds, 60% let off.
Oh, gosh.
X75 aluminum arrows, you know,
Yeah.
big thunder heads on there back in the day, you know, the big old rectangle sight. And I hear it. He draws his bow back, and I hear, and I was like, oh. And that elk straddled the deadfall with it right here and bugled
Oh, my God.
and peed all over my knees and lower legs. And my dad's at full draw and cannot shoot this thing because he's worried about it trampling me.
Yep.
So it crosses over. I'm behind it, looking at it like this. My dad's still at full draw. At this point, you know, he's a strong dude, and he, you know, 90 pounds, 60% let off. He's shaking. The elk walks off, and after that, he was like, "Holy smokes! Like that just happened." And then it would like, you know, elk season came, and he shot his elk and everything like that. And I was playing football and doing the thing and little kid football, and I remember it being like around my birthday, and you know, going duck hunting and stuff, and like, Dad, can we go elk hunting? And he's like, no, like that's only, you know, in September. And I'm like, why? Like, and he's like, and so that's when the thing really started. And then, you know, I started bugling in contests as a little guy. And my first bugling contest, I won, and I won the entire overall.
Oh, dang.
And so I got like men's prizes, and
Yeah.
but they were doing bikes, and they had bike prizes. And so I ended up getting a bike that was way too big for me. And from then on, you know, I've hunted elk. Again, I shot my first elk when I was 12 with a bow. It was awesome. My dad, I couldn't do it without my dad. I mean, really, between my dad, my uncle, my mom, currently, and my wife, like, they support this passion.
Yep.
We're all about it. Like, it was football and it was elk hunting, and they're at the same time. So the fall is really special for us. And so
it's also tough to be an elk hunter and also play
college football, which
man.
I was able to shoot an elk on a bye week, which was cool. But you know, in the times, you know, the experiences that I've had, and you know, the numerous things, crazy stuff I've seen happen where, you know, bulls stepping on people, and just the crazy stuff in the elk woods that I'll never forget. And elk hunting is more than like a hobby. It's a full-on passion, and that's what I bring to this.
You're here. I got a question for you. So, how old were you when you like decided to enter the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation World Calling Championship?
So, so that was actually later. So as far as the worlds go, you know, I was playing football, had summer camps, things like that. But you know, I would travel in the spring. You know, after we shot our turkeys, we'd go to Bozeman, we'd go to Idaho Falls, we'd go to Salt Lake, we'd travel to all these ones, and Sports Warehouse used to do a great job of putting things on. And my uncle and dad, they did the calling contest.
So they were competing.
Oregon. Yeah, and so my dad is a phenomenal elk caller. He was it 2 years ago, he got fourth in the professional. So he's won numerous these kind of contests. My uncle is probably the best elk hunter I've ever met in my life. I mean, I don't know.
What's his name?
Jim McCarthy. Hell's Canyon Sport Fishing.
Okay.
And the things that I've learned from him, and honestly through his best friend, which has now passed away, which is a really sad deal, because you know, the lessons that I learned, and you know, whether we'd go turkey hunting or elk hunting, the things like, I remember my wife missed a turkey, and he told her the best advice possible. Like, there's always another one. It's your shot. It's your hunt. It's your opportunity. And so those things have stayed with me all through my family development. But as far as the calling contest, 2015 was my first one, right after college. I got third. I lost by a full point, so I lost to Corey by a half point. And then came back and tried it again in 2021, and I won the professional class. It was awesome.
Was Corey in that year?
Yep. Corey, Bo.
So you beat Corey Jacobson, Bo, everybody in 21.
Yeah.
That's sick. Let me, for us knuckleheads, who I'm just an elk hunter, man, I don't follow the calling stuff as well. Like you said, points and things. How do they score it?
Yeah, so how it works is, so it used to be you draw a number 1 through however many callers you had. So like caller 1 would go first and last, so he's not, because the first couple callers kind of get the shaft, right? Because you can't set the bar, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what else is there. And so then they go through and you do 30 seconds of cow sounds, 30 seconds of bull sounds, and then 30 seconds of freestyle. That's how it used to be. And then you'd get,
I like that.
You'd get points, right? So then it'd be out of 10. You'd have your 3 sections, and they'd give you points. You'd tally the scores, and that's how it worked. Currently, it is head to head. So you have 1v1.
Okay,
so
wow.
You get up there. There's a bracket system. You get up. You do your routine. The guy does his other routine. You get a point. It's out of 5. So judge says, caller 1, caller 2, caller 1. Caller 1 wins 3-2. And so that's how it works.
It's like a UFC fight. Like, what if they put, like, say Corey Jacobson and you are put head to head in the early rounds? What if you're knocking out 2 of the best callers?
That was last year.
Really?
Corey Jacobson is one of my dear friends. Great person, great role model, great father, great husband. Him and I went head to head last year. And I tell you, just from the experience of it, because besides the contest, trophies, whatever, what they're about is you're talking about the top 1%. The amount of knowledge that is in that room is phenomenal. So you go there because you're listening to what's new. What are people doing? Techniques, different sounds that are successful. People like Joel Turner, who's won it twice. Yeah. I mean, phenomenal, to where he can take those skills that he learned from the contest side and kind of apply them and tweak them. And my personal thing is, when I hear an elk bugle in the woods, I want to match his energy.
Yeah, match his energy.
I want to match. I want to do what he's doing. And then, and I'm just going to make a disclaimer. Calling is not the end all be all. So just know that. You can be an awesome elk hunter and not a good caller. Being an elk hunter is 100%
That's me.
Scouting, time, effort, being out there, and
being a chameleon. Because I'm not the world's best elk hunter, not even close. I know so many great elk hunters that I look up to, so many.
Right.
But what I have figured out was how to learn as many plays in the playbook as possible, so that I'm not stuck with just kind of one tactic. Thing. And also, I think you said something off camera. It really depends on the topography you choose to hunt. You and I both grew up hunting North Idaho Panhandle.
Yep.
You don't bring binoculars.
No, you can't see 5 feet.
You have to. You vocalize if you're going to get an opportunity. And then there's other places out west where it's pretty worthless to call, quite honestly.
Yeah, you talk about like Nevada in the rolling hills there, where, you can still call and do things, but realistically, it's all about how you move, playing the wind, knowing the timing, being a good hunter. But then you take, for example, like Coastal Roosevelt. Coastal Roosevelt might not be the most vocal, but when you're calling, your calling style is so much different than, say, North Idaho bugling a basin, when you're bugling a small, little thick pocket that's tightly timbered. The vocalizations are going to be different.
Yeah.
And so that's where the calling contest, things like that, learning how to control the diaphragm, so that way you can go make sounds like Coastal Roosevelt. You can go, hunt the Panhandle or Western Montana or whatever, and you can be more dynamic. That is the key. Anything to help.
I think we should do a breakdown of the anatomy of an elk call.
Yeah.
So why don't you bust one out here, and let's actually look at all the components that go into a diaphragm.
Okay. One thing to be clear on, everybody has their own frame. So whether it has a dome, whether it has, just an open plate, the width, the depth, whatever. So all these are a little bit different, but this is what is called a frame. Okay. Then you have a latex. So this is the part that this is what makes the sound. So, and these are all different thicknesses. This is like, what is it, Vanna White? And then you have...
This frame, is it aluminum?
Yeah.
And then do all you call manufacturers get fussy over the frames, like y'all have your own patented frame, or is it?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's not necessarily fussy, but... as you can see there's no adhesive.
There's a dome here. There's no adhesive whatsoever.
Yeah. So the thing is a lot of people like if you're just to start making calls on your own, there's only a couple places that you can go to buy this stuff kind of wholesale. And so a lot of that will have like a 3 millimeter tape that you peel off that's got glue. You stick the latex on, it sticks. We have these special ridges, this male and female end, that we're actually using tension.
Yeah.
Because the issue is when you have adhesive, right? Heat, cold, expand, gases.
That's elk hunting.
Yeah, and so that's where you'll get wrinkles and things like that. So that's our frame per se.
I like that. So there's no adhesives. It's just kind of a male, female, smashed together.
Yeah, and
I like that.
And that's our, and then
latex thickness also matters. Now, you explain latex thickness as it was like, let's say we're going turkey hunting. Mm-hmm. And does it matter the thickness for a turkey call versus, man, I'm going to be bugling a ton today, locating elk. I should use this diaphragm, or I'm going to be cow calling a lot. Right. Does thickness matter, or is it stretch, or a combination thereof?
So realistically, I tell everybody when it comes to latex, you can bugle with all of our latexes, all of our diaphragms, and you can cow call with all of our diaphragms. Now, which one? And I describe these calls as people have low pressure and there's high pressure. There's the guy that's big at the lung cavity. He smashes that thing and blows hard. So he's going to be a higher pressure caller versus more a finesse caller where they're just trying to figure out. Maybe it's vibrating their tongue a little bit and they don't necessarily like it, so they're a lower pressure caller, right? Sure. But with the latex, and like when it comes to turkeys or elk, like it does make a difference between, like the thinner the latex you get. So obviously it's not going to take as much air pressure. Right. It's going to be probably higher pitch, softer, quieter. So that's kind of where the stigma gets to where the 3000s, the lighter latex are.
Bless you.
Bless you.
I'm allergic to elk calls.
Yeah, I guess.
No.
So the lighter the latex, that's how it gets the stigma of cow calling and locating, light bugles or whatever. And then the thicker you get, that's when you get into the big bulls or whatever. But realistically, you can do it all. But as far as latex goes, you want to find something that fits you. So you want to find like you smash a grape to the roof of your mouth. You're going to pop it in your mouth. You're just going to put it in their hole and pop it. And you're going to find that strong part of your tongue. And no matter how hard you push, the harder you push, the higher the note's going to go. Gotcha. The lower you go, obviously you're going to get the vocalizations, the reverberation from your throat. The further you push forward your jaw, the deeper the note. The further you push back your jaw, the higher the note. Those little things are just little tips and tricks to start utilizing the diaphragm. And like Joel Turner says, cows don't close their mouth, it's all open. Yeah. And the jaw is dropping. So things like that. And that's where picking a call versus latex, you kind of have to play with them, figure out, well, what kind of caller am I? And then you can go through and so for example, if I was to hunt coastal Roosevelt, I'd use a 3000s latex and a 6000s latex, polar opposite, right? Because I can use my voice over the 3000s latex to give more of the little moans, groans, soft chuckles, soft cow calls. But then when I get the 6000s latex, now I get a super nasally cow. Now I get that right? Okay. I get that super nasally sound. And then the in-between, so like our heavier 3000s stretch tighter and our 4000s, those are kind of like your do-it-all. Those are the things like if you're packing extra calls, like you want to probably pack some of those, because that's something where if you lose your cow call, you're not going to be totally hosed, because you can cow call, you can bugle, you can do, I mean, you can do it with all of them.
I'd say your average elk hunter watching this definitely needs the do-it-all call.
Yeah.
Most guys aren't going to want the real thick one. They're not going to be able to probably make the sweet sounds that they want. So I guess for like entry level to intermediate, let's make a call for those guys.
So I'm going to use this black latex, which is 3/1000. And the trick is, so if you can look at the latex, there's grains, right?
Yeah.
You can see it and see the natural. So if I put it down this way, like wrinkled down, that call is not going to do as well. You put that call up, basically I call it belly down, right? See how that lays flatter in my hand?
Yes.
And so that's a trick to learn. So what we do is we take the frame and we put it in this little groove, and so it'll just snap in there, just like that. And so this call right here is what we call the Isabella, and that's Isabella Creek off the Clearwater drainage. And little fact, Isabella Creek used to have probably the most elk in it than anywhere in the continental U.S. And so then we're going to keep this call, we're just going to pull the wrinkles out of it. So we're going to stretch it pretty light.
And you're just watching in thousands where to be at.
So we're going to stretch it pretty light right there. And we're going to stamp it down. And this is the part where it gets a little froggy. So you pull this back super far, that call is going to break. And that call is going to, when you start to bugle, you're going to get a high note, then a low note. And so that's okay, but we just want to pull these wrinkles out just like that. Come down, stamp it, roll it, mark it with the C.
So that's what stamps it. Okay.
Yep, and then we just pop that out right there. And there's our call. Perfect placement, perfect everything. And so then what we do is we come here and grab this, if my fingers work. We want to leave a little bit of meat on the bone here, so that way the tape will stick to it. So then we come here, trim that, and then this last part here, cut this off. Why they'll stick? Technical difficulties. There we go. So there's our call, right? So now I left enough here to where when I tape this call, that little extra latex is going to be on there, and that's going to help the call last, right? Because it's going to stick to the tape. So then I'm going to take my mom's old hunting license here. I'm going to put this tape deer, take the long side, peel it, just like that. Stick that right there. Take my diaphragm, put that, line it up just right, stick that down, pull it, and close it.
What's crazy is that every call is handmade.
Yep, and see there's good, everything's super solid right there. Then what we'll do is we'll line this up, make sure we're not getting all wonky, and we shall pop it.
Dang.
And there is a beautiful elk call.
Okay, so let's take this Isabella, which is mainly named after the latex, right?
Yeah, it's named after a
obviously a hunting drainage or a creek, but this particular latex, if you use this, it's the Isabella.
Yeah. So we have two in the black. So we have the minor and the Isabella. So
okay, so what's the difference between the minor and the Isabella with the black latex?
Side stretch. So for soft, like beginner callers, this Isabella is not going to take hardly the pressure. It's going to be a super sweet running call. You're still going to be able to get those high notes, but you won't necessarily have the piercing volume of say a 4000s. Yeah. Or that's where we step the black latex up. Now we stretch a little bit tighter. Now we're getting that higher note. We're getting a little bit more increased volume.
So that's the minor. Mm-hmm. So will you build a minor right now so that we can? All right. So this is cool, guys. I haven't seen a podcast live where someone's building elk calls, so that's kind of cool. We'll definitely put this on YouTube as well and give a couple clips in our Cody episode. But like, This is cool. And once you build this, I want to have you run through all these tubes that I have in my personal collection and versus the Slayer.
Right.
Can you do that?
Absolutely.
All right.
And like anything, right? See how that one's just off a little bit. So I just have to make sure that's perfectly straight right there. Now, punch that down. Come here and see, then I'm gonna hold a little bit of pressure here. That way I'm not pulling it out. So then I'm gonna go here.
Whoa, so you went to 60
Yeah.
thou. Yep. Sorry about that, Jeff.
Pull that. Stamp that down. You know, and as far as like industry standard, like 60 is going to be kind of the range. I mean, we do other things, and I can kind of show that.
Do you guys have a tape coloring system in your as a company, where like pinks and whites or?
Yeah, I mean we have special colors for all of our calls. The minor.
It's not all random. Like
No. But that's one of those things too. Like, you can always call me if you're having problems. You know, I can.
Do you guys sell a variety pack where
Yeah.
people can just kind of figure out what's going to suit their
Absolutely
fancy?
do. We sell all 7 of our calls in a pack.
I think that's the smartest play. Before you, and do it way before elk season. Get the sample kit of all 7, blow them all, and then load up on whatever you're good at.
Okay, well.
But here's the best part. It's time for the audience to decipher.
If we take our Isabella here.
Sexy.
You hear it just
Sounds good in here, by the way.
It does. It's a low pressure call. So I mean, if you're just putting this in and you want to make a cow sound, doesn't take hardly anything. Also, what this call is super good for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's hard to pinpoint. But then also, what's really nice about this call, you're at full draw on a bull. You got your mind on your shot process. Here we go, everything like that. You're looking at branches, right? Everyone wants to stop the call. This thing doesn't take the pressure, so I'm at full draw. Boom.
Yeah, I would say the majority of the elk I've shot in my life have had, the last thing they ever heard was me making a cow call sound to stop them. That's awesome.
And so we go up to the minor, so you're going to hear a little bit more volume.
It's a little more nasal. Way more. Yeah, way more of a ringing tone.
Yeah, so that's
Way
kind of
for locating.
Yeah, so that's kind of the difference. And then, also you can still do.
I love that.
Right? So
That last little bugle you made is what I hear in the mornings when the herd bull's like, ladies, pack your shit, it's time to go.
Yep.
And I get really excited because I get like, oh, that's a herd bull.
Absolutely.
He is talking to no one else but his gals.
Yep.
Let's go. That's okay. Will you do me a favor and
Absolutely.
run? Okay, just do a location bugle through all these. I want everyone to hear these through a pro. So let's do Dirk's Renegade. I don't even know if they're still making this, but
I'm pretty sure.
I used this last year.
Now, Dirk, I love you. Good friend.
Beautiful.
All right, so what you're gonna notice in that one, it's got really good depth, but when it comes to and that's the last thing I want to do is bash my friends, because all these guys are my friends and I'm not bashing anyone. But with our system, and realistically, it's where you call, what you're doing, and on that lower end note, that's what kills elk. That because that's when you feel it.
Yeah.
When you're bugling.
Yeah.
And so
This guy, I like just the size and the packability.
This is amazing. Like, you know, you don't need much to kill an elk, right?
Doot, 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 doot.
Right.
Check.
So obviously we don't have the base, but you don't have to carry the son of a gun. So
Speaking of carrying, these guys sent me this.
yeah, these
who
guys
are they?
Got your 6 bugle tubes.
Got your 6. It weighs 30 pounds, but the idea is that you can rake with it
Yeah.
as well as...
You take it and it's got these knurls on it, and you can
Because it does suck to, like, you want to
Yeah.
rake, you know you need to rake. This is what it's going to take to close the deal.
It's got a big flared mouthpiece, which is nice.
You can't find a stick anywhere, and you're like, well, now you got to...
Well, this old boy's been through the ringer. I've raked with him before. So what you'll notice, big mouthpiece, big opening, really, really big here. And everything is kind of built on like the trumpet stadium horn type where it goes big because those sound waves will go through small, then open up, and that's where we get our reverberation. So. Good bass.
Yeah, incredible bass. That was awesome.
If I could do
hard to control your range.
Yeah, so just I mean, I don't want to smash anybody.
These are
but,
observations. These are not like...
So that's the first time ever blowing through. I've blown through Dirks before.
Yep.
But that one, the hammer, yeah.
The hammer.
And so which one should we do now?
Okay, so this one's from guys in Oregon. It's called the Triple Threat All-in-One Eagle Cap Outdoors.
Okay.
Same premise. You can rake with it.
Yeah.
I believe that's the premise. So I told those guys that, hey, I mean, this will get on the video.
You're right.
I don't know when, but it's not as heavy.
See, this would be perfect for my Uncle Jim because when the cougar comes in, he last year or 2 years ago he actually threw a tube and bounced it off a cougar's head. So
I believe it.
This is a little lightsaber-ish. So I mean, again,
Let's see how it sounds.
When we're talking about tubes, right? Super big opening. I mean, this is basically like a vacuum hose with some ridges on it. You're going to get good sound, good high pitch, but again, you're not going to have the total depth, and you're going to bleed air pretty quickly. So. That's good.
Yeah.
For a little.
That was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, little stick. I mean, it pretty much is just.
Yeah, this is what I used last year. I liked it.
Okay, so this is the one where you can put the easy bugler on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The thing I like about this tube is I wish that this was open a little bit more, but the overall sound quality of just the hollowness, I think, great job, Jason, Dirk. That's a good bugle
So
tube.
this is the Unleashed V2. Before that was the aluminum, or no, just the metal.
Yeah.
And I ran that. I like that. Give that one a 2.
Yeah. So the thing about this one is you're gonna notice like a ringing, pingy sound.
Yeah.
So unlike kind of the other ones, right? We're super bassy. This one has got that piercing ringing tone, which for locating elk,
Locating
that's awesome.
elk, that's why I like it. This is from Carlton, or Native, I guess is what they're called now. But give that one a spin, and then that's finished with yours.
Yeah. So this kind of has
way too many
a miniature
tubes.
version of what we do. It's nice size wise.
Yeah.
But realistic, this is not quite what we have, but it's a good idea, guys. It's a good one. It's small.
Yeah, that is pretty small.
So that's awesome, guys. I mean, it's a good product. I mean, shout out to you guys at Native. Good job.
Yeah, I know Mark Carlton forever, and he's trying to build calls. And the cool thing I like about your guys' company is that, you knew I was brand agnostic, and I was just like wanted to unite hunters.
Exactly. That's
and
all
I
we
feel
want.
like that was the vibe I was getting from you guys. Show everybody. We already did a little bit of this, but this is the kind of elk call my dad needs, because my dad struggles with elk calling a little bit.
So this is the Enchantress, and really there's so many people, like we have lots of guides and outfitters, you know, working around mules and horses. And, you know, we had a guy get kicked in the mouth and he has to wear a flipper, right? He has to wear it in his teeth. And so using a diaphragm is super difficult. Or people who have gag reflexes, and like that's a lot of people. Or honestly, the buddy at hunting camp that's never gone before, that you're like, hey, here you go. I mean, my daughter, 9 years old, she rips on this. It's awesome to get your kids out there, get your wives out there. I mean, wives are better callers than me. My wife can cow call. Phenomenal.
Women are better at life.
Yeah,
than men.
she shoots better, calls better, does everything. Parents better, everything. But with this thing, all you do, so the frame is in there. And so you have a silicone piece right here that works, and so that's pushing on.
That's your tongue.
That's your tongue. So that's just like pushing right here. So it's the same principle. So the way you'd use your jaw when you're cow calling is the same way, and this works just on a little call-it system. So it screws on there. You push the button in for your high note.
Maybe turn to the side too, so that people can see the other way, so people can see you working your thumb.
Like this?
Like you're gonna call that direction.
Okay, cool. So you watch. So if you just blow through it, that's your nasally. But if you push on it, that's how you get your high note. So then, I mean, honestly, and even like estrus buzzing.
I gotta get my dad that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is so money.
Well, so estrus buzzing, super hard to do on a diaphragm, right? Because it takes throat.
Yeah.
This. You can estrus buzz with it. So now you're. So say you're decent on a diaphragm, but you still kind of make some mess ups on notes, right? This is consistent. This is when you're hiking up the hill and you're out of breath and tired, right? This gets it, right? Because you're just blowing. And so for bugling, all we do, push that in. So that's our enchantress, guys. And seriously, it helps so much get people out there. And honestly, this sound alone, if you're on a ridge top and you want to locate elk,
that'll do it.
That's piercing. It's easy. It's going to carry a long way. So that's the enchantress, guys.
Just do that every 100 yards all day long.
Yeah, and you know we're getting in. We're Shields in Missoula, Shields in Meridian, Wild Arrow Archery in Salt Lake City,
Utah.
We have No Limits Archery in Denver.
What up, Phil Mendoza?
Yeah, and then we also have Josh
Spokane
Jones,
Valley Archery.
Spokane Valley
Some
Archery.
of the G's out west are carrying it for the
Yeah,
archery
and we
shops.
also have G4 Jason at G4 is carrying them.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you're in the area, there you go. Now we're going to talk about our Archangel. So
Archangel.
yeah, this is
You guys got some crazy names.
Well, this is because, like I said earlier in the pod, like my uncle lost his best friend to suicide.
Oh.
Right? And absolutely wonderful human being, one of the best people I know. And so the idea of the Archangel, and you know, Bill, the CEO, he lost a friend as well. So the idea of the Archangel is we're carrying them with us when we go hunting. So it's a passion. It's something that we do for those. My grandfather who just passed away, my wife's grandmother that passed away. Like, we carry them with us, right? And so the cool thing about the acrylic mouthpiece is, one, instead of blowing through a standard hole like those, right?
Yeah.
We blow and our air is just kind of going out.
Yes.
This is a half-inch hole, so we're choking that down. So when you get to the end of your bugle,
volume,
you're not running out of breath. You can control the diaphragm better, and then you're also going to get really, really good volume. Right?
Yep.
So our tube is it's kind of gonna be the best of both worlds of all those other ones. You know, it is bigger. That's the knock on it. We're working on that. But especially if you're having trouble controlling the diaphragm, this is gonna be the way to go. Okay. Just because you're going to have that smaller hole. It's almost the principle. We took this from duck calls.
Oh, okay.
So the back pressure that it takes when you're blowing a duck call, you're actually truly building back pressure in the call.
I don't mind the size, to be honest with you. If it sounds really, really good and it doesn't weigh a ton, I'll carry it or whatever.
It's not bad at all.
Most of the elk hunting that I do seems to be more open country. So the only times I really do call is obviously the middle of the day when I know where they're bedded and I want to try to.
Yeah.
It's too open to sneak in on the herd. A cow's gonna see me, so I get as close as I can, and then I will bust out a call, or I'll just wait in the bubble is what I call it.
Absolutely.
Let's do this. Let's make this educational. Let's try to together think of all the sounds that they might hear and make those. And then why don't you build us a couple calls right now that we can blow on, and you can kind of try to find the right one. So let's go over the super basic female sounds, which is where I think you want to spend the majority of your time. Let's do, and now every elk hunter who is selling you something will have different terminology. So some of these might be the same or shared or different, and I didn't make up any of these. I didn't invent elk hunting.
The biggest thing is with calling, like I said, you're hunting open country, it's just another tool in the tool belt.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that you want to be proficient at because it might be the difference in sealing that deal. You know, cow calling, it goes back to the principle, the bar scene, right? Girls don't want you calling it, you know, your wife doesn't want another girl hollering at you.
No.
Just like you don't want, you know, you hollering at my wife, right?
No.
We don't want that. So it's kind of, it goes kind of hand in hand, but it's just the timing of what you're doing. Calf calling is a really good resource because it's non-threatening. It's easy. So calf call would be. Right? And then you get into...
The longer you hunt elk, especially archery, you're going to realize that calves are crazy. And they will vocalize all the time. Even when the herd's sleeping, there'll be some calf who's separated from his mom and is just going to be randomly calf. Calf calls your safest bet, right? Like ultimately, if you're looking to give away your location and make a sound, a calf call is your safest bet.
Right. So when it comes to like bugling or making cow sounds, like any cow, if you're gonna do it right. When you're out in the woods, you hear them do all sorts of things, and like when it comes to the calling contest, I don't even think an elk could win the calling contest, right?
That's right.
Because they do a bunch of wonky stuff. But the main principle is the high note. It's the ki-ya, getting the nasally sound. So that last sound is what the estrus buzz is. You know, North Idaho, I don't think we have enough elk to really stimulate that sound. But you know, you're hunting in Colorado,
Montana, open plains.
Like you have that. Like you're gonna hear that sound.
Your herd is 4 or 5 elk total. Yeah. I don't know if you're gonna hear that one. And if you did, it just.
Or if you're in a situation where you have 20 cows in one bull, you know, it's not a good ratio for bugling. I mean, that elk is gonna kind of hightail out of there because he's got it figured out, right?
Yeah.
And so it's all about closing the distance. So like when you call, you want to move. You don't, because they can pinpoint your location.
How about a lost mew? I've heard people refer that, or just like not a standard social mew, but just like a And potentially, how about even like a lead cow gathering type mew?
Yeah, so all those are, you gotta think about the scenario. When it comes to elk calling, it's all about emotion that you're displaying, right? So if you're lost, you wanna put yourself, like if I'm put this call in my mouth, I'm gonna act lost. Right? You got that sense of urgency, like, hey,
urgency.
Hey, where are you? I am lost. I am not comfortable. I'm out of there, right?
Yeah.
Where like the gathering stuff. Right? It's going to be piercing. It's like, hey, let's go. Let's get out of here. You know, and then, you know, you have your estrus whines. Right?
How often do you find yourself doing those?
Not very often. I stick with this.
Yeah.
I live there. I live there in the calf calls, and every once in a while, if I'm trying to pull a rabbit out of my hat, estrus buzzing,
Yeah.
you know, trying to connect.
It's good to know how to do it all.
Yeah, some kind of.
You're fishing. You might need to change lures. And maybe it's that extra buzz lure that is going to seal the deal. And because you know how to make that synthetic sound, it might just come in handy. Let's move on to obviously a location bugle, a challenge bugle, some sort of grunt or whatever people want to call it. Some people will call it, it doesn't matter what it is, but some sort of aggression.
Bull calling cows bugle.
We can do
lip ball.
Lip balls.
The challenge bugle is basically a super high scream note.
Pretty fast.
That's fast, and it's like you are mother effing
It's
someone.
like F you Ezekiel.
Yeah.
But fast.
What's your name? Yeah, exactly. that is literally elk calling. I mean, elk are like frat guys. I tell people that all the time. They hang out with each other during the winter. They're bros.
That is exactly it. Like that is what a bull sounds like in the morning heading.
So
like,
use your throat as your.
So there's no lip buzz, or it is a lip
there's
buzz?
lip buzz, but you're
like
yeah, and then
Sling Blade, like the movie.
yeah, fried potatoes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so throw
And then
some sling.
Throw some Sling Blade in there, but then stop. Buzz your lips more. And then at the very end, no, it's like you're still adding pressure, but you're stopping the lip buzz, adding a little bit of pressure for a like almost like a chuckle.
Dude, yeah, let me. This is sick. Okay. That makes sense. Here, I won't blow on your call as much.
No.
Appreciate that.
No, you're good.
That sound, I don't know what a herd bull. Most herd bulls aren't going to appreciate hearing that sound.
No, you do that in close, and you're gonna have a bull in your lap.
He's not going to appreciate you making that sound.
Now, if you do it too far away,
Yeah. Oh,
that is he's gonna scoop his cows.
they're going to skedaddle.
Yeah, but if you're doing it in tighter, he has
You might force his hand.
You kind of have no choice, but he kind of is like, oh, it's on.
Yeah.
Like you see all the videos of, you know, the Rocky Mountain National Park and the two bulls crashing, the old bull's limping. Like it kind of forces his hand, right? The young bull's running in, and he's like, oh, I gotta go.
How bad? I've always wanted to go to Rocky Mountain Park in Colorado in September.
Thank you, sir.
And not hunt, but just like witness it.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm going to be elk hunting.
Right.
So that's never going to happen.
That's where I can't remember the guy's name, but the Good Bull Outdoors.
Yeah, good bulls.
You know, that dude and his wife make amazing content.
Yeah,
and
they do.
And if you're looking for just some good quality audio, like check out Good Bull Outdoors. They are phenomenal.
And you can just watch elk and their behavior and things like that.
And just kind of how they're moving, how they're relaxing, how they're, you know, what vocalizations are there when they're just chilling, or when that bull's running in, you hear that like, you know, or that super challenging bugle.
I want to finish the pot up, guys, with like a couple tidbits on elk hunting. I want them to get some value out of this. So right now, this podcast is coming out way early in the year, way before elk season. But it will be here before you know it,
Absolutely.
Cody. You guys sell like a starter pack or a sample pack?
Yep.
What is that? What does it include?
So that includes, we have the River Series. We have I believe, I can't remember the name of it. That's really bad. But then we have, you know, basically a pack that's got our 4,000s latex in it. Then we have a pack that's got a 3,000s, a 4,000s, and another 3,000s. And so you can kind of dabble in what kind of pressures you are. The all 7, the pack, that's going to be the most bang for your buck, because you can really sit there and go through exactly what you like in your elk style, your topography. You know, we're all out right now. We're getting ready to chase spring bears, chase turkeys around. And so, I mean, those are good opportunities, you know, to practice your bugling in those, you know, drainages, or you're in a big clear cut. you know, and you're just walking, you know, you're walking your pickup glassing bears and you don't see anything, you're, you know, looking for turkeys or whatever, and just kind of, you can get a feeling of outside of kind of, what does this call sound like outside versus in my pickup, you know, where it's ringing.
But also you can figure out which one works best for your palate,
absolutely,
size, and the way you contain your pressure. I feel like buy the sample pack, then double down once you find the sweet spot.
Absolutely. And you'll see with our frame too, there's a slight rolling edge to this. So what that does, that call is going to fit more anatomically with your tongue, right?
Sure.
It's not just going to be a flat thing with a round surface. That's going to ground. So these calls are extremely comfortable. They're extremely comfortable to have in your mouth, and just the ease of using them. I mean, like these calls, my dad and I make them, and another kid, Jace Van Antwerp, we all make them. They're made in Idaho. All of our products, whatever we make, are made in Idaho. We take extreme pride in our customer service, and what we want is we want you to be a better elk hunter. Whether you use our diaphragms and a Phelps tube, whether you use our tube and a born and raised diaphragm, if you use Glenberry and like whatever, if you have that and that, do it.
Shout out to Glenberry.
Stud.
And
Chad.
They both live here in town.
Yeah.
I like Chad, like as far as like I can talk to Chad, but Glenn will not come on my podcast. He's afraid I'm gonna milk him for all his elk. That dude's Glenn
was extremely innovative because he made a frame that was made out of nylon material.
Oh, really?
And so instead of doing this, you just snapped it together.
Oh, sick.
So I mean, he's done some cool stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I used to
hell of an
at
elk
Spokane
hunter.
Valley Archery, we used to shoot Vegas together.
Oh, okay.
And so that's how I got to know him. But he's a great dude. I mean, anybody that you deal with from Canada, Travis O'Shea, Dirk, Jason, Trevor, Trent, Cody, Eric, great people.
Born and raised boys, yeah.
Yeah, all those guys are going to be phenomenal. Find something that works for you. Chase elk, work hard, be disciplined, stay out there and grind it out. And don't forget, check out your ELKSHAPE training, right?
Oh,
because we have to bust our ass in the weight room, right? Because we're going to be expected to carry some heavy shit, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah,
that's
hopefully,
the fact.
right? That's
well,
the
guys,
goal.
I hope you like this pod. It was kind of cool. We literally watched my dude build us calls. If you've never seen that before, watch the YouTube version of this. Cody McCarthy, Slayer calls. At Cody McCarthy 47 on Instagram. And dude, he's just my bro. Be on the lookout. Big things coming his way. Separations in the preparation. We'll catch you on the next one.